all to the November meeting for the West Bath Planning Board. My name is Darlene Estabrook. I am chair of the planning board. If the other members would introduce themselves, please.
Jim Williams.
Gabe Whitney.
Jamie Wallace. Jerry Mitchell.
And we have Carly Perry, our liaison, and Jonathan Bean, CEO, just arrived, and a bunch of people in the audience. So I guess what we'll do is call to order, which I've just done. We need to establish a quorum. We require 3 members up front to have a quorum. We have 5 tonight, which is wonderful. So we have established a quorum. Amendments to the agenda. Does anyone have an amendment to the agenda? Board members?
I do not.
No. I would actually like to take number 4, which is our verification regarding conflicts of interest, and actually instead of, since we have 2 applicants tonight, instead of doing it all in the very beginning, I think what's customary is that board members will disclose any potential conflicts of interest of which they are aware of at the start of the applicable agenda item, so before each applicant. That was suggested to us in the October training from Sally Daggett, our town attorney. And it was part of an opening remarks that she gave us an example of. A motion to do that, I guess is what I was trying to say. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion? Any issues? All those in favor, please raise your hand. 5, unanimous, Carlin, to move that, or to remove it, and do that in front of the applicants. All right, so we are here tonight. We also have our representative, Mr. Durwood Parkinson from Bergen Parkinson, who is here tonight to help us with the application for the West Bath parking lot. We're going to be doing a findings of fact for that. It's the first time we've really had any experience doing that, so he's going to give us a hand, so he'll be here. We're going to move forward with the agenda. I do want to point out that those persons here who are not planning board members, please raise your hand if you have a comment or a question, and you will be recognized by myself and then heard. We're going to keep this pretty low-key tonight. We have a lot of stuff to do, and would like to make it as pleasant and as efficient as possible. So, first up we have subdivision amendment, Stephen Reno, applicant for Harmony Haven subdivision. Please come forward.
Before we do the application, I just want to state the conflict of interest for myself as the abutting property owner and also president of the homeowners association. So I'll recuse myself from this discussion.
Okay, so you're offering to recuse yourself?
Yes.
Okay. If there was an option, if there was a conflict and he had not done that, then we would have to take a vote where you've already offered to do that. What happens now is that you're not allowed to sit here at the decision-making table.
Understood.
So you have to move to the audience. You will be treated as a participant, just like the rest of the audience. If you have a question, raise your hand. We will acknowledge you. You may speak your piece, and you won't be voting. And then after this one is complete, you can come back and continue the rest of the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay?
I'll go next. So I've worked for Stevie for the last 20 years, so there's a slight interest there.
Do you feel that you have a conflict?
No, I haven't done anything with what he's doing, proposing here.
Do you feel that you cannot be objective with the application?
I feel I can be objected to it.
Okay. So the 3 of us need to then, I motion that we have to take a vote on whether we want to recuse Jerry for this application or not. So I will make a motion that we vote not to recuse Jerry based on his saying that he can't be objective. So it's a vote no to recuse, if you raise your hand.
Second.
Second. And all those in favor of not recusing Jerry for the Reno application, please raise your hand. Okay. I think I did that right. So you're good?
Right.
Okay. I didn't want to say vote to recuse him, and then we don't want to recuse him, and that Okay, so we've gotten that out of the way. So please, Mr. Reno, and I think you have Mr. Bills representing you, or whoever's gonna speak, please come forward. You can pull up a chair, whatever you like to do. If you have plans, we've actually got a easel over here, so that, and I think Carly, the camera needs to move so they can see that.
Yeah, that's why I'm sitting next to it.
The only thing I don't know, Bob, is there's a letter explaining what we're trying to do. It should be in each one of your
Okay,
files.
all right. So first, I guess I would ask, is what you're presenting here different than what was left at the town hall?
It's a revised plan that makes the changes that the planning board requested.
Okay.
So, what I received. Do you want a copy of these?
Nope, I think it's enough that we can look at it, so if you wanna do one over here and one over there, we'll share. Far away, that's- Yep, I'll show you this one. So we got two different plans, or what are we looking at here?
Same plan, but the PDF driver that I used gave that.
Yeah, it was
So,
tough
it was
to
tough to
read.
read.
So we're not looking at this one tonight?
No,
That's the old
But
one?
they're the same plan.
they're the same plan, same text. I can point out the changes that were made.
Okay.
All right, so first off, you asked for information about this piece of land. This was lot 13. This was lot 8.
Do you have the original, or I'm sorry, not the original, the last amendment sheet for this subdivision for us to compare?
That was up here, and it didn't do anything down here. The last amendment was these two lots being added to the subdivision.
Right, I guess I'd like the last one to compare this to.
No, I brought copies of showing the amendments.
Okay.
Basically, they were amended.
All right,
So this
Do
was
you
lot
mean this one,
14.
darling? The one, the last amendment where we,
oh yeah, that wasn't the, that one doesn't show the entire thing, does it?
Right.
It shows just part of it.
right?
Okay,
I see. So
yeah, we'll work with this for now.
the previous subdivision, that this entire chunk here, all the way around here, all the way around here, all the way around here, is remaining land owned by Steve Rito.
Right,
So wasn't given a lot number, however, it was part of the subdivision. So now, there's three different things that are being amended. Lot 8 is getting half of lot 13.
Who?
Lot 14 is getting half of lot 13.
Mm-hmm,
Lot 14 is acquiring part of the remaining land that Steve owns.
okay,
This is still the remainder of the property.
okay.
So I believe you'd asked me to continue to put enough information on the outside boundaries so that you could actually see the original lots. You asked what this was. This was part of, again, the remainder. Surrounding the entire subdivision. This was started in 2009. That's 14 lots. Steve then took all of this out of the subdivision and amended in 2013, I believe. And then in 2019, he came back to you and added these lots back in. 2020 is when they put these two up here into the subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And this is now to take lot 13 completely out, give half of its land to this lot, half of its land to this lot, and to add this piece of remainder to this, so that the only thing that Steve has remaining is this duct back here.
Okay. So, title right and interest, who owns lot 2? Because you're affecting lot 2?
No,
You're not affecting lot 2. This
these
here
three
says-
lots are the only things in the subdivision that's being amended. Nothing else is on the other people, these folks here
Mm-hmm.
own their land. We're not doing anything with any of this land.
Why does this one say lot line abandoned?
That was the 2020 amendment. Stephen's son owns both of these lots, and it was abandoned. This was already done in 2020.
Okay, so maybe that's where the confusion is, because it looks like you're abandoning it now, since that note is on there.
Well, it says abandoned, not to be abandoned, because this was already done in
Okay,
by book 2021,
okay.
16.
All right, so lot 8, which is here,
Yep.
belongs to Kramer, Taylor Kramer and Kevin Kramer.
Yep, one of these stars.
Are they here tonight?
No,
Do we have a letter of authorization that you can speak on their behalf?
well, they're both my daughters, but no, I do not have a letter.
Are they adults?
Yes, they are.
Then you can't, they're not your dependents, you can't speak
Well,
on their behalf
what do we need to
in a
speak
legal
of?
matter.
I didn't know that we had to have them here for one thing. For another is that we're just giving them both extra land, splitting up a lot, so they can each have half of it.
It's a legal matter, you have to have right, title, and interest to come before the board. So if you were doing this for, say, your father or your uncle, they would have to either write you a note saying that you were authorized to speak for them, or they would have to be here.
Well, I was told that I had to amend my subdivision to give the piece of land on. Nobody told me I had to bring my kids in to amend subdivision.
Is one of them available to be here?
No, one's in Oklahoma and the other one's,
Which is why we accept a letter also of authorization.
If I could get her on the
We can't.
phone, would that work?
That's not a great idea. I don't think so. Mr. Parkinson, what do you think?
Couldn't that be just a condition of approval?
No, right title interest is the very first thing. We can't act on it, we shouldn't.
You
Hear
probably
it?
could bend the rules to, if they can get them on the phone quickly, to say yes. Expedite the process.
speak on their
It's up-
behalf.
It's up to you.
I mean, we can put them right on speakerphone.
Yeah, I apologize, but.
You can use their faces if you want, like we can do messenger video chat or whatever.
So lot 8 is
Taylor Kramer.
Taylor, which is your
Which
daughter.
she's here, she's only probably at her house.
And
She
then
can
lot
come right down.
13 is.
Harmony.
Where did it go? 13 is Harmony. And then 14,
Well, no, 14 is Harmony, I'm sorry.
14
13 is us,
and 13 is yours.
right.
Why am I not seeing 13? Is 13 the remaining land?
No, it's between 14 and 8.
Portion of lot 13, portion of lot 13.
So lot 13 is being dissolved, basically.
Yeah.
And then was this outer line, is this still remaining land from here all the way out and around? To here, Bob? So this is just your tie line,
Right.
and this is just a tie, that's the right of way.
So the remaining land of Reno, lot 16M, 16M.
Yeah, so I apologize, I mean, that was not related to you, but that is like the very first thing.
Well,
we
let's
learned
fix it
about.
now, can we make a phone call or no?
It's up to the board.
Well, let's vote and I can get
I
on
would
the
think
phone.
we could, identify who they are, they could, on the phone and on speaker, and they could give permission to their father to speak for them. I mean, it's obvious that that's the case. If they identify who they are, then I would think that'd be adequate.
Could it be followed with a letter?
Yeah, we can.
We can follow up with a letter, yes, but right now she's competing out in Oklahoma, which I was supposed to be there now too, but I had to come to this meeting tonight, so.
Right, it's really kind of after the fact, it would be what you wanted to do, you want to make a motion?
I move that we would accept phone call and verbal permission for Steve to act as their spokesperson and act on their behalf, followed up with a letter.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All right, take a vote. All those in favor of Jim's motion? There we go. All right, then we'll do it.
Are you gonna have your daughter come down?
Yep,
No.
and you get Harmony on the phone. I just gotta step outside and tell her where it is.
Yeah, so here, actually, on the application, number 3, interest in property is not filled out. I know,
What are we missing?
interest in property, usually it's,
Yeah, we give deed.
if applicant is not the owner, please provide owner information along with a letter of authorization. So, that was a miss on the town
Hi.
staff side, I think,
I'm at the,
unfortunately.
at the planning
We
board
can fix
meeting, and I need you to give, the planning board staff permission to speak on your behalf for this land deal. So I'm gonna put you on speakerphone, and you can talk to them, okay? State who you are.
Who is this?
All right, speak your name, dear.
Hi Harmony, it's Darlene, I'm the chair of the planning board, sorry about this. Is it okay for your dad to speak on your behalf for moving the lot lines for the subdivision?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, it's fine, okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll let you know how it turns out.
All right, thank you.
I'm not sure if you heard, if you'll hear the phone on the recording or not. Did you hear her?
I heard it,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Alright, perfect, so we got that out.
No, you mean Taylor?
Yep.
Taylor's on her way.
Oh,
She lives right here. Right.
Oh, she could have just on the phone too, but whatever works.
That's all right.
we could ask for comments from the public. Could we ask for comments from the public while we're waiting?
Why would we need that?
Right.
She can do it on the phone.
We normally do,
Yeah.
ask if there's anybody in the
At the
audience
end,
that.
after we've asked all of our questions. Yeah, so do you have any other questions, gentlemen?
I'm just-
on
No, I think it's very straightforward.
Hi,
It's actually illuminating a lot.
hold on, I'll let you talk to them.
Is that Taylor?
Yes.
Hi, Taylor.
Hey,
Hi, this is Darlene, Chair of the Planning Board here in West Bath. We're here looking at the subdivision change that your folks are doing for your property over in West Bath. Are you okay with your dad representing you in this matter? We just need some right title and interest to move forward.
yes, yep, it's fine.
Okay, did you hear, Carly? Okay, perfect, thank you, Taylor.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so you're off the hook, you don't have to come.
Great.
Okay, bye.
Hey.
All right.
She said, I just took my makeup off.
You can keep going.
I keep going.
Sorry
I'm
about
not
that.
sure that there's much else to explain. I agree with you that all the variance and distances needed to be walked on because we're amending the whole damn lot, not just adding this.
Right.
All these things, variance and distances are on.
Right, okay. So we
And
do
the
have,
acreages, I did amend I had done this before, but the remaining, the net residential density calculations, I changed those back to reflect what this was. So this plus the land that was under Harmony Lane, minus the wetland that were all taken out,
okay,
still is less than 2 acres per lot. So there's still, I don't even know why we do this, but there's still 8 lots possible. Not geometrically, that's for sure.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
acreage-wise, that answers the question then.
it never works out that way. So all of these have acreages, they all have owners. I don't, Jim, do you wanna be able to see this, sorry?
I can see, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah, you can kinda read that one, but that one
It
going
is a
to the
little, you know, but that's
registry would
okay.
be really terrible, you can't read
Just
the
in
curve table
bold.
and stuff.
These are wetland areas, is that?
Yes,
Okay, this area and all of
So
this.
we've got lot numbers and acreages. So, let's see.
each of the curves, obviously,
Mhm.
this was indicated as it has been. So every one of these, which can be found out here.
Jerry, are you noticing anything missing, bearings, distances, or anything like that?
No,
The, I know that you're not affecting these, but shouldn't these have the bearings and distances on them also?
And subdivision amendment is, I could have actually just made the plan as big.
True.
So I wanted to show the whole thing because the net residential acreage calculations, if we didn't have the whole thing, again, it would have been not explanatory by itself.
Okay. All right, we got a checklist here. Maybe? No, I get another one. Always happens. All right, so the owners. So I'm gonna put on here Taylor Kramer. Is it still Harmony, It's just still, okay.
Ariane A to D.
Hmm?
Ariane A to D.
I'm just writing here underneath the interest in property. Taylor Kramer and Harmony Reno called in to give permission, to give authorization. To Steve Reno. UD, okay. All right. Checklist, gentlemen. All right, you guys ready to look while I read? Development name, plan, date, applicant, agent, data, owner, data, preparer, data, map, lot info. This is our checklist for subdivision. It says it's provided. Do you guys see all of that?
so we've got name,
Yep, name, plan, date, applicant, agent data, which would be Bob Bill's, owner data, preparer data, Antonio Bill's, map and lot info.
here's it's all there.
Okay. North arrow, map scale, legend, signature block.
It's there, yep.
Okay. Field survey created and certified by licensed land surveyor, with bearings and distances along existing boundary. We just talked about that. Boundaries and designations of zone districts and overlays. If I remember right, it's in the notes, what district then?
It's a note right in the center, it says it's in zoning district 2 residential.
Perfect, thank you. Names and map and lot numbers of lots adjacent to subdivisions.
Yeah.
I see that, yes, thank you, Jerry. Names and, sorry, wrong one. Contour lines shown in accordance with Article V62C3. I think where this is not a new subdivision, in the past we've waived that because they're just moving lines, they're not building roads and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna change provided to NA because it's not on there, right? Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Location of all property lines, existing buildings, water courses, and other essential existing features. We have some of that. We do not have buildings. Again, moving lot lines, and not putting a brand new subdivision together. Motion to waive the existing features on the plan.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Okay, we waive those. Location of wetland areas are definitely on there. Steep slopes. No. But again, this is like the 5th time we've seen this subdivision, and you're not getting anywhere near the steep slopes because we've looked at that before.
Yeah, we're not within shoreline zoning
They're
other
over here.
than in the swamp,
Mm-hmm.
so there's no 25% slopes greater than 4 acres,
Anywhere?
not within the subdivision amendment.
So that's an NA then, instead of a provided. Flood hazard areas depicted on flood insurance rate map. Is there a flood hazard area? I don't believe there was.
No.
Could you
I
have
think you made
provided?
a statement, haven't you, in your notes about,
Yeah, note 13 or 12 on the bottom left. Excuse me, thank you. Note 16, the last one.
Does not lie within a 100-year floodplain, okay. So it's another NA. We provided the note, but, okay. Net residential acreage calculation, we just talked about that. That is over in the corner. Location of all rivers, streams, and brooks within and adjacent to subdivision. Those are shown in the wetlands. Proposed lot lines, dimensions, and lot areas, we checked. I didn't see any that didn't have them. Did you guys find any that didn't have any?
No.
Okay. Building envelope for each proposed lot within the subdivision. We really don't have proposed lots, we're changing the lines. And am I correct in saying that you're just adding on to lots that have houses in them already?
Correct.
So you're not really having to have a building envelope anywhere?
Right. So that one that we added to each lot took away one lot from the subdivision.
Right. So, motion to waive the building envelope for each proposed lot within the subdivision?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Oh, sorry, I didn't raise my hand too. All right, so that is waived. Location, design, and proposed roadway, including road grades and typical cross-section. Is there a plan somewhere with typical cross-section and everything?
There are no proposed roads occurring, all the roads are existing.
Okay, so instead of provided, that's an NA. Location and size of proposed sewer system, test pits, water supply, culverts, and drainage. You've got provided on here, but we're not proposing any new septics.
Existing septics are already permitted.
So that's also NA. Parcels of land proposed for public use. Are you proposing anything new for public use?
No.
There's nothing really for public use, is there? It's just remaining land.
Correct.
Correct? Okay. Not open space to be preserved, non-applicable. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures are also not applicable because we're not making new road, correct? Stormwater management plan features, not making new road, so those are also not applicable. Campbell's Pond watershed boundary, you're nowhere near that. So that one in 23 and 24, which is design of phosphorus controls within the Campbell Pond watershed boundary, are also NA. Alright, so we go on to the supporting data. Application we have is provided, correct? Notification writing to all owners of abutting property. Carly, was that completed?
According to the land use ordinance for subdivision amendments, that's not necessary unless you're creating a new lot.
So that's an NA. That's what I thought, okay. Verification of right, title, and interest in property, we did that over the phone. So that is provided. Copy of deed and all covenants or restrictions on the existing lots. You have a bunch of different lots. I think there's a deed in here, right? Is that for the overall subdivision? The overall property? Maybe not for the individual lots? Were the individual lots done with deeds also?
All
All of them, okay. Are you going to be amending the deeds for these lots?
I'm not going to be, I'll write a description, but someone else is gonna have to
Sorry,
commit title.
are the lots gonna have new deeds once this is,
Yes.
okay. So we do not have that, it is not provided.
Would you read that again, please?
Copy of deed and all covenants or restrictions on the existing lot, it says. It's a weird thing because an amendment changes a piece of it, not the entire thing. So I mean, he's provided the deed on the complete thing, but since this is like a fifth amendment,
Yeah,
To the
I mean, I
subdivision.
referenced all the covenants and the road maintenance agreement and the other things down here in the homeowners association
right, it was,
documents, but I did not provide copies of the deeds.
right, it was the deed that I was concerned with.
Are you talking about this deed to Steve Reno?
The deed that would be created by changing these lots, they need new deeds.
Well, they can't make a new deed until the approval happens.
Right.
So
Right.
at this point, all we would be able to give you would be a description in writing of the things that are depicted graphically.
Right, right, so I was gonna ask, does the board want to ask for, as a conditional approval for deeds once they've been created for the lots that have changed?
Usually this refers to the subdivider, the underlying owner.
Right,
And so that is Steve Reno. Because these lots that have been affected, he owns now.
No, but he
Isn't that the
doesn't.
deed we need? We don't need the deed that's gonna be in the future. We don't ever ask for, copies of deeds of each subdivided lot, do we?
no, but it's an amendment, and we're only amending 2 lots.
But we don't
So you
ever,
would need the deeds for those 2 lots.
like at Seacrest, we didn't ask for all those deeds of individual 5 lots or whatever it was.
I don't know, I wasn't on the board at that time.
No, I don't think we do.
It
We
doesn't
asked
mean
for
you
the
didn't need
deed
to.
of the owner of the lot, what's changing.
Right, when it's first done.
Right. And we have that in the
Mr.
packet.
Parkinson, what do you think?
I don't want to interject necessarily.
No, I would love to hear
Just
your
as a
opinion.
matter of course, in municipal government, the deed comes after being recorded back to the assessor. So it makes its way back to the town
Right.
hall, and so somebody just needs to go down the hall and get a copy of it, and it's of course available online.
Number
Right.
4 says, copy of deed and covenants on existing lot.
Yes, that's exactly what it says.
So,
Where it's an amendment, the existing lot at this point is lot 14 and 8.
as it exists.
Well, it wants to be in,
Which we do not have, correct?
Okay.
So, I'm just trying to follow process here, so I'm
Sure.
asking the board if you would like to make, okay, first, I interpret it to mean that we need deeds for lot 14 and lot 8. If you disagree, we can move on. And so we don't have a deed for lot 14 and lot 8 the way it sits now. And so that isn't met. So it depends on how you interpret it.
but what we're affecting is lot 14 and
8.
actually,
Well, it's kind of hard to go
lot
like
13
deeds.
is what we're affecting.
No, I know, we're not saying you had to do deeds beforehand, but it's a condition of, well, no, you have a deed right now for 14 and for 8, the way they are,
Right.
right
so-
now.
So why don't you just put in there, that we have to get it to you guys as soon as we can make
That's,
the
that's
deal.
what I'm trying to propose, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to propose.
That's fine, let's do that.
Okay, so motion to make a conditional approval that we have deeds brought to the town for lot 14 and lot 8 as they sit right now before the subdivision to meet the requirement.
Okay.
Description.
Both of those deeds.
Second.
Number 4, under supporting data, if that helps you, Carly.
Yeah.
Second. Discussion.
Okay.
Yes?
Yeah.
You both do that.
All in favor? All right, so that was a conditional approval that existing needs as they sit today for lot 14 and lot 8 are brought in as a conditional approval. Okay, okay. Copy of final covenants or deed restrictions intended for proposed lots. These are existing lots. They fall, I would guess, under the same covenants you've had all along,
Yes.
correct? Correct. So this says provided. Is there
Yeah,
the
in the
covenants in
package.
the packet?
Yeah,
Oh, perfect, thank you.
he's provided.
Alright. Sewage disposal private says include test pit analysis. These are not new lots. You guys have your septic out there. So I would go with NA. Is everyone okay with NA for
Yes.
septic on these existing lots? Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, water supply, same thing, private, it's there. We'll go with NA for that. Solid waste disposal is private. Wetlands identified by certified soil or wetlands scientists provided. These have been done long ago when it was originally done. Driveway access and or entrance permits, again, like the water and the sewer, NA, the driveways are there. You're not putting new houses in, I'm guessing.
Right.
Correct, okay, perfect. Determination of other state and federal permits required and draft copies if available. This is not triggering, you're not changing roads, you're not adding roads, you're not triggering anything stormwater or DEP, correct?
My understanding is there's no new construction proposed for houses, buildings, anything.
All right, perfect. Location map is somewhere.
We provided a separate map.
Is there another one in the packet?
Yeah,
Okay,
That's
okay, thank you,
fine.
Jim.
yeah, right there.
All right,
Dave's got it.
oh yes, thank you.
Okay.
Soil survey plan, Article V62C21, is that in there? Soil survey plan,
I think I saw something in there.
The original soil survey was done by Mark Hampton for the original subdivision.
right,
I didn't propose anything for the amendment.
okay. So it's not in the packet.
It's not submitted in this packet.
Okay, then we're gonna do an NA. Again, we're not doing new soils, just had provided in there, so. Flood insurance rate map showing location of subdivision to determine if in flood area. Is that in,
No, note
You
number
put-
16,
provided?
I indicated it was not in the 100-year floodplain.
Okay, so I'm gonna put note provided instead of that.
Note 16.
Note number 16 provided, okay. Hydrogeological assessment describing impacts on groundwater, you're not doing any new wells, so not applicable. Same thing for erosion sedimentation control plan, there are no new roads, so you don't need that. Stormwater management plan would go along with erosion control plan, so that's not applicable. Phosphorus control design, again, you're not in Campbell Pond. Watershed, so that is also NA. That is the end of the checklist. Do you guys have any questions, concerns?
No.
Bob, there's one thing I noticed, is you've got conditions of approval down here. It says new lot and road monuments shall be set on any lot that may be sold, and all interior lot monuments to be set within 180 days of the date of the final approval. I think that still applies.
I still have to set monuments out there, yes.
You've also got DEP approval of the stormwater sedimentation erosion control plan shall be obtained before any grubbing, stumping takes place.
Yep,
Is that still applicable?
It's not applicable, it is applicable, but it's not going to happen because there's no road stumping proposed.
Okay. Alright. It appears that everything here is in order. Comments, questions?
No, very straightforward.
Comments, questions from the gallery? Yes.
I do have, I guess it's
Mr. Lawson.
a question, or maybe it's a comment. My question is in regards to the cul-de-sac at the end of that way. And I noticed that the lot on, I think it's lot 13, which is being divided and split to 8 and 14. Are there any changes to that cul-de-sac? The cul-de-sac isn't installed right now.
There won't be any changes.
Okay, is there a plan to install the cul-de-sac?
Yes.
Oh, the cul-de-sac is not installed?
Well, there's one at top of the hill up there, and that one at the very end is not installed yet.
Okay, because that's like a safety issue.
There's really no safety issue there, because if any fire truck, anything needs turned around, they gotta just back up 100 feet. And there's a big cul-de-sac at the top, that was supposed to be there.
Right. It's a requirement of this subdivision that
Mm-hmm.
all of the infrastructure be built before any building permits are obtained. So I guess I'm curious how all the buildings went in when that wasn't finished.
Well, I just haven't got to it yet.
John, from a fire department perspective, is it not safe to go down
In my
there?
opinion, there's no need for it. Obviously, I assume you intend to put it in because it's there.
Because it's on the drawing,
But with the way the top of the hill is shaped, with what Steve mentioned earlier, I wouldn't use a cul-de-sac at the end of that road. I would use the one at the top, which is already there. So,
Okay, because I know that that's what it is, it's a safety concern. And that's
Oh,
why it's
exactly,
there, and
and
that's a
that's I
state
haven't been-
requirement.
I haven't been that concerned of it, the big cul-de-sac at the top, and there's only one house down there. It actually comes to the dead end of the subdivision. Which, we can put the cul-de-sac in, it's on the plans, I plan on doing
Well,
it
and it's
still.
all flagged where it's gonna go and everything, it's just not complete.
The existing cul-de-sac at the top of the hill is probably 2 or 3 times bigger than shown on the.
5 times bigger
Five
than
times
what,
bigger.
that little
So like
thing
John's
that's
saying,
small.
they would probably utilize that.
Yeah, it's a T.
It's
Yeah,
not only
it's
a
a T.
T, it's a big wide open area, flat.
Okay. Mr. Wallace, you had another comment?
I don't disagree that there is a large flat area there on the top of the corner. I guess my only comment is that I believe in the ordinances, under land, subdivision ordinances, there is a requirement to have the cul-de-sac at the end of the road, regardless if it's,
At every dead end.
that's correct.
That's right.
Yeah, it is a requirement. Unfortunately, enforcement is not something that the planning board can do. That falls on code enforcement. So I think if you wanna chat with the selectmen about that, that is probably, we cannot help you here with that.
Yeah, understood.
So,
Just wanted to pose the question.
yeah, and we don't have a requirement for amendments that has to be completely finished before we just view another amendment, which is maybe an oversight. But we don't have a requirement in the ordinance to do that, so we can't.
It's another thing that comes with common sense, when you've got a beautiful turnaround right here, and I put another one down the road 150 feet.
I understand what you're saying.
I don't make the rules, you know.
I don't either. I wish I did, wouldn't that be great? But it is a state safety requirement.
But there is one there for, trust me, I've been down on many roads that's been no cul-de-sacs that are subdivisions and.
All right, are we ready? Anyone else that has comment, question on the subdivision amendment? Okay, guys ready for a vote?
Motion to approve as presented.
Wait, we got the condition though. You want me to?
Yeah. What was the condition?
The condition was, Carly, you know what the condition is, right? Providing deeds for lot 8 and 14 as they exist today was the condition to add to the approval.
And written permission from.
Yes, and written authorization for Mr. Reno to act on behalf of Harmony Reno and Taylor Kramer. Those two things. Thank you, Carly, for catching that. All right.
You need a second?
Someone needs a second.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval with the conditions as we set forth? There you go.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome, we have to fill out paperwork, and then you, we need to sign these too. Did you bring the amount of copies that you need signed this evening?
There's 15 more.
15?
No, you know 15. You take what you want, sign it. You're gonna need 2 for the registry. And then,
We're gonna take one, how many more do you want us to sign?
I thought there was one for the criminal officer and one for you. So that's something to remember in the past, okay.
Just one, correct?
Do you want more than
Or do you
one?
want two? How many would you like?
One's dead.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Not much time.
So how many signed copies do we need? Total? Take it home.
It should be Carol, I think.
Oh, wow.
But it's
So
a
we need
charity race, I would say, you know.
I imagine Steve
So
wants
it's
some.
of course, a government race is what the young one.
4?
Kind of a big deal.
I don't know. Steve, how many copies do you want?
Whatever's left.
Well, I wanna
Oh,
sign
final
15
signature?
of them, so.
Oh, come on.
We did
Well,
copies.
we should,
I think
I think you should have more.
Registry copy, because they had the passes we were going to stuff for, so I
So we
have a
have to
copy.
see one for us, and
You have them signed 15, that gives you time to go through your.
So, it's the there, that should be.
he wants us to sign off.
Women don't forget it. You've been married. you
Tell you,
know.
Tim, no, it's stronger.
You guys decide to get a number yet?
Yeah,
What did I do?
you're gonna remind him to get the driveway permits.
Oh, yes.
Run them back down.
I had to pick them up, I had to bring them to the,
All right, that's 3.
are you?
Poor Mr. Meadow could barely get his car started to.
I'm good with this one,
A copy after that.
Better have these,
Keep going.
give the attorney one. He's gonna want one.
Probably have to do another one instead of this one.
Why? What happened?
That fancy Shelby truck out there.
This one says either 24.
Oh,
No, I've got my son's
that was
First
brilliant.
20 of
He's got my car.
All right.
This is the
Must be James.
It is a hot
Is that your Shelby truck outside? No? Jerry?
Can we try to keep it down, please? Just a little bit.
Thought he was one of the
We're on a recording. Thank you.
So, that's only 3.
There's another one. And I'm gonna write up the thing. See you, Rob.
Gates on that one? Big district conservation and stuff, and I say yes.
Nice.
I'm just getting home. Transfer to the guest office.
That's good.
The reason that the plan was prepared was because I changed software and the delegate and stuff in the driver.
I just know this may have to, give them out the registered deeds and, you know, whatever. Town office. This is when you first start, it takes,
See, maybe I do.
you know,
I'm good at it.
So now
You
it's
can add a little coffee shop. First real job.
So it's all changed around. You wouldn't believe how long it took to get them through our states. Amazing. Today we just do it as a matter of, we take it's 2-1 on that.
So where are the 2 copies for us? Or 1 copy for us, we only need 1 copy.
So we have a call center and Massachusetts and North Texas separate.
Jerry, when you hold your
I do that call there.
half and then 4.
I'm not good at that.
There you are.
Well, you get the law.
You do.
Oh, I don't know. This is kind of surprising. Maybe I especially helps contractors because they lessen their liability. They're still liable if they hit. And a lot of small sewer, a lot of small utilities in water. Small lakes to do this thing. And
everyone frantically trying to figure out is
if you're below a certain size,
I'm tired.
you gotta pass that.
What's Taylor's last name again? Not Brand. Ray.
With a K.
Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
Bill, where do you work? Where do you work today?
Then we had to set up a lot different than today. You know, just doing some software. That we were trying to blow it.
Lots of 8 and 14, right?
You know,
8 what?
engineering and symposium. So there's a show. You know.
Applications to be.
Used to be the Soil Conservation Service.
So it was written authorization from Harmony and Taylor and copy of current deed and must be received, correct? Is that
You just subdivisions now, or you doing everything? Or?
Business went pretty bad. Being able to keep that. I went to work for SAS.
Oh, so what?
Natural Resource Conservation Service, SAS. So for the last 13 years, I've been one of the jobs. Come out to my house.
Yes, there's a lot of those, yeah, you have some.
This is the packet. And then just a copy of that from them, if you don't mind. That should be all of it. This. I don't need this.
You have those copies. Better have one.
All right.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Take care, Bob. Oh, yes. Oh, sorry, this went in there too. It got right out by accident.
What do you need from us?
So I have,
Sorry.
so I have an extra chair back there for Drew, which is showing the
Yeah.
application.
Sure.
Find over that
It
wall.
did a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
All right.
We just had to be in 5 people.
We are gonna continue on with the meeting.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, so next we have Westbound Parking LLC Mr. Parkinson here to assist us, as I stated earlier. We're gonna be doing findings of fact from this, and we don't usually do this. It's the first time, so please bear with us. It's gonna take a bit, I think.
Want to give a little background?
He's here to help us with that.
Yes.
But, yeah, you wanna do that now, or you wanna,
Or whenever you're ready.
go ahead.
Well, just for the record, my name is Durwood Parkinson. I'm a municipal attorney, and I've been asked to represent the board on this particular application. I'm not the regular town attorney. That's Sally Daggett. Sally apparently advised the Board of Appeals on this matter, and so it's appropriate because of that prior representation that another attorney advised the planning board. At least that's best practices. So I'm here to assist in any way that you would like me to assist. I always say when I come to a new town, this isn't my town, and so how you do things, I'm not trying to be a know-it-all and come in here and tell people what to do that doesn't make sense to them. But I hopefully can be of service to you in terms of the current position of this matter. Somewhat unique, you don't see this every day, where you've got a application that was denied, that went to the Board of Appeals, and now back to the planning board. I mean, I've seen it before, but it doesn't happen like on a routine basis. And as you know, the gist of it is that the zoning board of appeals is setting for the Board of Appeals. Some towns say zoning, others just say Board of Appeals. The Board of Appeals is saying you need to give reasons for your decision. So my recommendation is that you go through the approval performance standards for site review, and those have been circulated to you and you have them in your book, and you discuss them and decide whether the applicant met those performance criteria. If the applicant has met all those performance criteria, then the logical conclusion would be that there is an approval of the project. If they haven't met even one of them, then the project is the logical conclusion is the project is denied. A little wrinkle here is apparently there wasn't a submission, and maybe it's forthcoming on lighting and some elevations regarding the bus shed.
Right.
And so that something
Yeah,
we can discuss now or later or when it comes up.
Right, we had a couple of things that were outstanding the last time that they came before us, and it was, they had proposed new lighting, and we didn't have information on like how tall the poles were and the lumen and that sort of thing, which is required. And then also we hadn't received like elevations of the building.
The bus shed.
Yeah, everybody calls it a bus shed. It's not a shed for the bus. It's a shed for the people who are waiting for the bus. It's not a shed building. It's a
That's what they call
shelter.
it.
I know.
Shelter.
Correct. It's a personnel shelter waiting for the bus.
Not
It's
like
not
the
a
bus
shed.
barn.
It's not a bus barn.
Not like they have the train thing down there.
No, people are gonna stand underneath of it in the rain, waiting for the bus to come and pick
Fair
them
enough.
up. So, those were the two things that I remember were outstanding at that point. Again, that was June, July, so it's been a bit. So I think it's good, we'll just start it from scratch.
We did, just to clarify, we did submit that information with the most recent application package. Okay.
Right,
So
right,
it is
he's
in front
just
of us.
saying,
Okay.
right, we talked about it earlier to try, so I understood how this was gonna kinda go, and Durwood wasn't aware that there were other outstanding things that needed to come forth, so that's all we're saying.
So it's in the record, and then
Right.
the board can consider it when it goes through its discussion of the findings. So what I'd recommend more specifically then is that you take these Article 13 site review requirements and discuss them individually and vote on them individually. And I'm willing to and able to, if you want, but I'm not trying to, again, sell services unless you really want me to do this. I'm happy to take everything I hear and write it up for you in the form of like legally sufficient findings of facts and conclusions that you could adopt at your next meeting. I encourage, a lot of towns ask me to do that. It's a very common thing for, particularly when you've got some history on the matter, to have the attorney representing the board write out the findings. You could do it yourself. You can say, no, we're good, and we're just gonna do it, you know. But I'm happy to do it, and I could send it to, I would send it to you in advance of your next meeting, and I would encourage you to look at it hard, and you're welcome to cross out things, add things, say I don't agree with the way he said that, or he made a mistake on that. Nothing's perfect, but it will give you hopefully what you need or close to it to get this across the finish line one way or the other. I can reappear at the next meeting, or sometimes the towns will say, no, we're good, you know, just give us what you think we need, and we can take it from there. So I don't think you need to decide that right this second, or you can.
Well, I think, and stop me if I'm wrong, I think the intent was, since we haven't done this, is that we would have Mr. Parkinson writing our findings of fact and pulling those together for us
Makes
based
sense.
on what we say tonight. We are moving forward towards that. We're going to go through the process of figuring out our plan and how to do that, templates and that sort of thing at our October meeting, but we only had 2 people, so we didn't have a forum, we couldn't have a meeting. So we're a little behind on that. But I think that was our intent. Am I correct, guys? That we want Mr. Parkinson to write up our findings of fact, because it has to be done it has to be done for this application. So it's either us or it's Mr. Parkinson. So
I do have a question, Dirk.
Yeah, please.
So you said, you know, like the process would be to go right down to the site
Yes,
review.
yes.
But there's also other things in the code, like the general purpose of the land use ordinance.
I can advise you on that. I mean, typically the general purposes of the ordinance is meant to be sort of broad introductory language, and it's not the usual practice for towns to go through each of the items of the purposes, because they're so broadly written. The idea of the zoning ordinance is that the standards that follow after that are executing on those general purposes. Hopefully there's not a disconnect between the general purposes and those requirements or your findings on those requirements, but it is not appropriate, in my opinion, to base your decision on the general introductory language of the ordinance. I would go with the standards set forth in the ordinance. And it's similar like the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan will say a lot of very broad things like, you know, preserving harmony in nature, yet growth of our town and all that. And it's so broad, it's hard for a board to understand exactly what that means, and that's why you have these specific standards. I recommend if there's any objection to the project that it be based on one of the forms.
any other questions for Mr. Parkinson before we proceed? All right, so I think we've decided we'd love you to represent
Okay,
us.
I would love to.
Before we start, I would like a motion to recuse Mr. Mitchell from the West Bath parking application review based on his bias towards the applicant and the application at the May and June meetings.
Can I make a motion also?
I don't believe you can.
Well, somebody needs to second
motion
that,
so
or
we need to go through with this one first. And based on our training the other day, this has to have a second and a vote, correct?
well, if the person recuses themselves, they don't have to have a vote.
Okay.
They can say, I'm out, I'm stepping down. If they don't, they should be given the opportunity to say what their view is, and then the board will vote on it. But
Right.
your motion needs to have a second.
It has to have a second before we can talk about it,
Yeah.
right? So,
I will second that motion.
okay, so discussion, Jerry, you had something you wanted to say?
Well, I think you should recuse yourself, Darlene. I think there's definitely a conflict with you and the applicant.
Okay.
Did,
Mine is based on your comments in the May and June meeting that were clearly biased. I don't know what yours is.
I think that you derive income from the applicant
Exactly how?
through your business,
What business?
Perry, your husband's business.
He's not worked or done anything for Ted in 10 or 15 years.
Okay. That's not what I heard, but that's fine. I've heard from multiple people in town that you guys have done work for Ted. That's what I've heard. I'm not saying it's true, that's just what I've heard.
Harry's done a lot of work for Bay Bridge Estates, which Ted owned how many years ago? 20 years ago, and he hasn't, but not when Ted owned it. It was Liberty Management.
That's just what I heard.
Okay. I guess that, I would say that that's not even accurate.
Okay.
So now we've got a second. Is there other further discussion?
You repeat the motion.
I'm sorry, the motion is to recuse Mr. Mitchell from the West Bath parking application review based on his bias toward the applicant and the application at the May and June meetings.
Do you feel that you could act in an advised manner on this before us
I
tonight?
can be objected to this. Ted has come before this board for other items on Libby Lane, and I voted those in. He's come back on different items. I think I've just stated things that that are true, that I've seen. And
You cannot vote without an actual reason to deny. You cannot deny without an actual reason to deny. Besides, you didn't like it, which is what you said. And that's where I think the bias is.
I think there's multiple reasons in Article 1 why I voted like I did. That I can go right down through. There's multiple reasons in here why I think this is a bad idea. 1.1, 1.5. If you guys want to get the book out, it's page 73. 1.12, 1.16.
But I believe what Mr. Parkinson just said is that it goes based on the requirements, not.
Right, but this is the whole purpose of the land use ordinance. This is why we're here. This is why do we have a planning board? If we have a code, why doesn't John just approve all these things, right?
Okay, so on page 73, it does say each development requiring subdivision and or site plan review, and this is a site plan review, so I'm looking at this now a little more closely. These are standards that have been incorporated with subdivision and site review, so I think you could actually, I may be reversing myself a little bit, I think you do need to talk about these. They're very specific to water supply. I thought you were talking about one of those general purpose sections that just sort of has to create harmony in the town. You know, we're adopting this ordinance. This is quite specific.
There's multiple things in here that I'm happy to speak about, that talk about all the different things of this development. If you'd like to go over those, we can talk like that.
Well, let's get through the,
We need to get through the motion first.
yeah.
Any other comment about the motion before we vote? And we do have to vote because you were there.
Well, it kind of eliminates, the opposition. It's, and there is a case cited in the letter that was provided to us for tonight's meeting. You know, there's a case cited in Prescott, perhaps.
Yeah,
And so I think we just have to be really careful if we step back and we start eliminating the no votes, and eventually there'll only be the yes votes left, I suppose. So I've heard the applicant say that, I've heard Jerry rather say that he can act tonight in an unbiased manner, and I take that as his word. So that's all I have to say, I guess.
Okay, anyone else? No. So I think we're all just left to vote because based on our training, we have to vote. So all those in favor of recusing Mr. Mitchell from the application, please raise your hands. All those opposed? And a tie, the no wins, so you say. Okay, all right, we will continue on. So Mr. Parkinson, you were saying that we
Yeah,
have to look at
I'm
these
zigging,
also?
I'm zigzagging, I apologize for that.
Because-
Because it does say, quite clearly in this purposes section, that these are, the board shall consider the following criteria for granting approval of subdivision, and then this isn't a subdivision, or site plan review, that is a site plan review. Each development requiring subdivision and or site review shall review :1, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 19 of them. Some of them are probably more applicable than others for the parking lot. Some would probably move faster than others, but, so let's restart.
So you are saying that we have to start at page 73?
Yep, that's
That they had
confusion
made
earlier.
those
So we got
copies.
73, then we got the specific, or the general performance standards in Article 13, and there's like 5 or 6 of them. So what,
What's interesting is some of these are like duplicates of the review standards that are in section 13 now.
and then we can move quickly when we get on 13.
Okay?
So maybe somebody reads out, maybe you, Madam Chairman, the criteria, and then ask if there's any discussion on that.
Okay.
And then say, is anybody ready to make a motion on that? And then,
So read 1-1,
yeah,
ask if there's discussion
yeah,
before a motion?
yeah, so
Okay.
can we discuss this?
Yeah.
What's the feeling of the board on this criteria?
Okay, we can do that. Is everyone okay with me reading them, or does someone else want to read them? Or we can take turns.
Quick question on, we did make some revisions to the plan with this submission from the previous submission. I don't know if that's been fully communicated or digested by the board. We're happy to give a brief overview of those changes or talk through those if needed.
Well, I was gonna ask if we could
Yeah.
have them present first before we start.
Before we start, yes, definitely.
To at least
Probably
talk
a better
about what the
idea.
revisions are
Sure,
that you guys.
yeah, we can be very quick, for sure.
Right, and it will probably answer a lot of the questions that we're looking for in here as we go along, so.
Yeah,
Yes,
so,
thank you. If you could just introduce yourself.
yeah, Dan Diffin, CD Mahar Engineers, representing West Bath Parking LLC on this project. The changes that have been made were partially in response to the most recent planning board meeting from last June, where traffic was a concern of the board. We did take that into consideration, we digested that, and went back to BIW to talk about the best use of this property, and the best.
Sorry to interrupt you, which one are you on? C-102?
Oh, this is a pretty plan that you guys don't have at this point.
Oh, okay.
So, but it is C-102 with an area on the background, and I'll sketch it a little bit. So, the project still maintains the same impervious area footprint, but what we've done with the revision is we've taken the parking from 830 spaces and reduced it down to 475. And that 475 takes us away from having to make any of the changes that we talked about out here in State Road, which is a major concern of the board. It basically cut the parking down by 355 spaces.
Just go back, talk about the changes in,
Yes.
you're calling it Witch Spring Road?
I'm sorry, State Road, yeah.
Okay, State Road.
So
So you're saying you aren't proposing that middle turning lane anymore?
It's not required by the DOT at this parking level, because we made such a large reduction. Any off-site improvements here are no longer required. What we have done is, and actually the board mentioned this in the last meeting, is we've converted both of these into ins and outs as a way to alleviate some of the backup that was a concern here back towards the intersection. So this,
Sorry, apologies, when you say in and out, so you have the opportunity to go into the parking lot and leave the parking lot in both locations?
correct, yeah, so the parking really is encompassed down here off of both of those access points. We've taken this laydown area that was over here originally, and we've moved that to the back of the site. That was about 2 acres in existing additions. It's gonna be about, I think that was 3.6 or 3.7 now, so that's gonna be upsized slightly, moved to the back area, and the front's gonna be converted to parking.
what's the number of spaces now?
475.
475.
And if you remember correctly, the existing count,
It's like 3 or
250
280?
was the count, yeah. And I do want to mention Diane Morbido Her car broke down on the way here, but she
Oh, no.
is available on cell if you have any specific traffic questions for her in regards to the revised traffic study that was provided.
Dan, how do you spell your last name?
Tiffin.
I got it, that's right.
You got it right?
Mm.
Or usually like a Griffin or Bisson or something.
So the area that was parking in the top of your plan there, that's a laydown area? What is that?
So that is going to be a similar use to what is being done out here, construction laydown area, staging area for construction at PIW. That will allow them to use other spots that they're using for that now to be parking. So there's been a balancing act with PIW. Ted and Andy went back and talked to them about the number of parking, and they were willing to reduce it to 475 with the trade-off of having the storage area.
So no longer the left turn lane going in.
Nope, nothing out here is warranted with the new traffic study. It's detailed pretty well. The level of service at the intersections, both signalized and unsignalized, will remain the same. So there's not going to be any reduction in the DOT's classification of level of service there.
Remains the same between the two plans?
Between existing conditions
Oh, between existing.
and this new proposed. Those are the major changes we did provide. As I think I mentioned earlier, we did provide lighting details that we coordinated with DIW's preferred lighting fixtures. We do have 20-foot light poles out there identified now for the application for approval. The bus shelters, we got some real data. Those are going to be much smaller than we originally anticipated. They're going to be just little 6x12 open air shuttle cover, basically a covered area for people to gather. Other than that, bus traffic in and out of the site will remain the same. No change to stormwater and other water supply or wastewater. None of that's going to be any different. So that's the quick overview of what's changed. I'm happy to answer questions before you all start reviewing the.
So the staging area, the pavement that's gonna be laid down is all the same as it was before?
Same exact footprint, yep.
And so, and the lighting, is that on all night?
No, it's not going to be on.
When's it gonna be on?
I think the proposal, I forget the exact time frame we put into the permit, but I believe it was going to be turned off at 10, rather than 10.
So it would be from 10 until,
It'd be off from 10 until morning when the sun comes up. Maybe 5, well, I should clarify that in my copy of the application. I think there was a consideration for winter time when there is no light in the world.
in looking at the plans, it appeared that the connections between the lights, and I assume that's for, you know, electrical wires,
Conduit.
that's gonna be underground? Right?
Yes, it'll be under the pavement surface, but it will not penetrate the cap of the landfill.
Okay. So then that's consistent all around, it will be, the conduit will be underground, but
Correct.
just enough to stay above the cap?
It'll be about 18 inches down.
Okay. So in your package you gave us, was there an illumination plan that shows the amount of light that's gonna be on the adjoining properties and so forth?
We did not do a photometrics plan because we are so far set back from these other properties.
Okay.
These are full cutoff lights that shine it down, don't shine up or over.
I assume these are gonna be LEDs?
Yeah, that's the preferred bulb for the other.
Yeah, the next K has the lighting cut sheets in the back, I see. You wanna see what they are?
Jim, are you all set with your question? I have a question.
Go ahead, yeah.
Just, can you, so I noticed that the previous plan didn't have the laydown yard, that was all previously proposed as parking spaces. And you had mentioned that the laydown area that's there today is what is basically being transferred to the top of the site as it's shown. Can you describe what the intent of that laydown area is and what the proposed storage is gonna be there?
Yeah, very similar to what's out there right now, which is empty containers that they might use for construction at the shipyard. It's any sort of staging for structural materials. There is some soils that they take off the yard that they take over here. They stockpile for a time before they get shipped where they need to go. So no hazardous material storage at the site. Really just that sort of staging area for construction at the shipyard. Is that detailed enough at this point?
I think so, and just another clarification question, so there's presumably gonna be construction traffic as well, going in and out as far as like dump trucks or whatever you guys.
Yeah, and loading up a flatbed of materials and whatever that's needed.
Okay,
And that's been accounted for in the traffic study.
okay, thank you.
Are you fencing that storage area in?
We
The ones
are,
that
yeah.
now is fenced?
We have a fence all around that entire area that breaks off or separates the parking from accessing the construction area.
Is the storage area the same as the laydown area?
I'm sorry, I keep saying this, yes,
Okay.
lay down / storage area.
Okay.
Is it specified at all what's gonna be stored there?
There is an agreement between the landowner and DIW that on what's gonna be stored there, it's gonna be that construction material. No hazardous material came up at one point, there'll be no hazardous material stored there. It's not allowed by town code.
So what's being stored there now, down on the area that's to be parking?
Same stuff that we just talked about, there's Connex boxes with tools and materials that they would use at the shipyard. There was a couple empty containers that they would take out to the shipyard to fill up with materials. One of them was a hazardous that had the sign on it. It was empty here, it gets taken out there, filled up and shipped elsewhere. So really, this is just sort of a spot for contractors to come out with this.
Are those steel packs? I mean.
Yeah, you might see
Piles of
some
gravel or-
members, there's some soil stockpiles like I mentioned.
So Dan, is it true that they take material out of the shipyard that's wet and then let it decant out here?
No,
So that never happens,
they can't decant soil out at this site.
but that's happening right now.
There is not, soil decanting is not permitted at this property. It's not a site for dredge spoils to be hauled off and dewatered.
So like when the back truck shows up and it dumps all the water in the dirt, is that the same as decanting?
Based on my conversation with the IW, that is not supposed to be happening out there.
I've seen it happen multiple times.
I can't speak to that, I can only speak to what the IW says that they do for storage out here. If that's a condition of approval the board would like to provide, to say.
Well, you just said it's not legal, right? So they must not be doing it because it's not legal.
Well, it's not, I don't know what they're doing out there. I know that they're not supposed to be taking any of the hazardous materials off-site and decanting them here.
But to be clear, that's a BOW issue and not necessarily a Westbound Parking LLC issue.
No, I mean, they have an agreement with BIW about what can be shipped out here, so that's a means of.
So Jamie, my question to you is that if it's a BAW issue, like we have no recourse to BAW, right? There's no, what's the permit, John, like a new business permit, right? There's no permit, so like there's nobody to go after, right? These guys are saying that it's BAW, but there's no, like we have nothing on record that BAW is operating a business out there.
I guess I would go back to the enforcement discussion that we just had, the last application, that we don't have enforcement authority of the planning board level here. And
Just for information's sake, is there enforcement through the town if there are things being dumped on that lot irregardless of who's doing it?
Oh, of course there could be.
That's what I thought, so it's just something that the town checks. And-
Yeah, and I have not seen anything.
Okay, so.
If I had, I would have looked into it. I've looked, I haven't seen anything.
So the town has a
I'm not saying that
mechanism.
Jerry is not being honest, I just personally have not seen any of that stuff happen.
We do have a mechanism to protect citizens and the land from something like that happening, it just doesn't happen at this table. It happens through the town staff, so there is that in place.
So in the laydown area, what would be the maximum height of that, of the storage of materials and so forth?
Well, I have similar to what you see out there now with the Connex boxes.
10 feet?
10, 12
12
feet, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
There was a pile of gravel there at one time that was
right, but
pretty substantial.
I'm not sure there's a restriction though on height of anything. As far as that goes, we have 35 feet for a building, but I don't
Right.
think we have any restriction in the ordinance for height of pile of things, so. It's irrelevant. Does it make sense for now, let's do the review,
Are you done with
are you
this?
all set?
I'm all set, that's kind of what we have updated, but happy to
Okay.
answer more questions.
All right, perfect, and we'll probably be asking for where do we find this and where we find that as we go along, if that's okay,
I'll try to
sorry.
remember.
Yeah,
Madam Chairman, can I ask Carly a question? Can you give me a set of those, is there an extra set of the revised application? Thank you.
yep, sorry, it's
Very much.
big.
And the paper on top of that pile, if you wanna give a copy to everyone on the board, that's.
I did that already.
Oh, you did, okay.
Yep.
So that's his copy.
Maybe that's what we start with, what is that? That is,
Very grainy, unfortunately, that's the copy that came through the,
oh, so this is your completed permit, your PBR.
That is the NERPA permit, yep.
Right.
Just for clarity, we are in the final stages of the solid waste permit. We got an email today that said it has been drafted and passed up to senior leadership at DEP, so we expect that in 2 weeks or less.
Okay. Carly, have you noted what this document is and
yeah.
the date? Yes, it's an NRPA permit.
I'll ask you this question, I already know the answer. Do they require notification for changing number of parking spaces?
Not for the PBR, no, it's extensive impact.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get into the requirements then, shall we? Everybody ready and okay to do that, or we have more questions and comments? Yes? All right, so we should start with Article 1 or Article 13?
Article 1.
Article 1. All right. Does anyone else want to read these besides me?
I'll read it.
Not that I want to read them, but I can read them. Let's take turns, how's that? Article 1, this is in Article 1 under purposes in the Development Review Ordinance. 1.1. It will not result in undue water or air pollution. In making this determination, the board shall at least consider the elevation of the land above sea level and its relation to the floodplains, the nature of soils and subsoils and their ability to adequately support waste disposal, the slope of the land and its effect on effluents, and the applicable state and local health and water resource rules and regulations. We're not permeating the soil with anything because it's been capped over with clay and it's a landfill. So I would guess the nature of the soils and subsoils and ability to adequately support waste disposal are not important. Does anyone have any questions, comments on that?
I would say that I understand the whole process of the landfill capping, right, but you're gonna put a layer of hot top on that, all the oil and everything that's gonna leach out off the parking lot into the wetlands that are adjacent to that, would put an undue hardship on the water. And so we're gonna have all that, like, on a standard parking lot, right, like say FW Weber in these parking lots, we have a storm retention basin, right, that gets cleaned out every so often.
Depending on the stormwater requirements from the DEP, yeah.
And so these are Dan's words, not mine, that there's a loophole in the solid waste, and you don't have to go through the stormwater permit process. And your exact words were it's a loophole. So I think that they're utilizing a loophole in the solid waste management plan to put a massive parking lot here.
And there's a laydown area that's gonna be paid, sure. So, do we at some point look at impervious surface and so forth, and some percentages, or is that not applicable on this?
So the ordinance was changed to 60% of the area, and I believe it's below that because it's a very large lot.
Okay.
I guess I would do we want to ask Mr. Diffin to answer the question about stormwater?
Yeah,
What else?
it's not so much that, well, it's not true that we didn't go through stormwater review. We didn't have to go through the treatment requirements on stormwater because this is a landfill. The project still did have to go through quantity review at the DEP to the solid waste bureau. So we didn't have to go to the land bureau. So loophole is the wrong word. We did have to go through a stormwater review with DEP for this project as it relates to proposed non-impervious area.
What's the area that's gonna be paved, the total area once you're all complete?
I believe it was 8.6 acres.
8.6 acres, is that what you said?
Let me find that exact number.
So there's no need, there's no requirement then to have stormwater retention basins or anything like that for this 8 acres of paved surface?
No, the existing is 3.6 acres. And the proposed is 9.45 acres. And DEP did not require any retention or detention for the land. Which we reviewed during one of our first plans.
And you provided, I mean, you did the stormwater modeling anyways through HydroCAD. And can, I guess, to address maybe some of these comments, I think, when looking at it in HydroCAD, as you know, we're looking at peak flow runoff.
Yep.
And comparing pre-existing conditions to post conditions. In your modeling results, did you see an increase in flow?
No, that's in our report. There's no increase in peak flows.
Yep, understood.
And that was appendix F, right?
I think because it's a sheet drain, it's a difference. It's not. That's, it works now, so it should work, should be.
Let's see. Looking at the final
Yeah, I'm seeing,
conclusion.
There's not a summary table, so you have to go into the HydroCAD model itself. But if
Yeah.
you look at the end of appendix A of the stormwater management report and appendix B, pre and post development, the post development flows are less than pre.
Yeah,
it looks like you're decreasing by
yeah, it's
just over
less.
3 CFS.
Yeah.
Approximately.
It's
Again,
a modeling,
approximately,
it's a
yes.
modeling, yeah.
You're telling me, Jamie, that if you pave that parking lot there, you'll have less flow after a rainstorm than what it is right now?
What I am telling you is, as a professional engineer myself, I go through these analyses, and I trust Dan putting his stamp on these plans under the code of ethics for engineers that he's gone through this analysis, and it has been vetted internally, and it is modeled correctly. Unfortunately, we do not have somebody who can technically review this. So yes, I did.
Just to clarify, that was prepared with DEP based on their requirements for controls.
And this has been reviewed by DEP and approved, and they're all happy
Correct,
with
then
it.
we just have to get the final order, we have the draft order, and we just have the final signed copy.
Okay. And what was it that I was supposed to ask before we move on to the next one?
No, ask what the feeling of the board is, has this standard been met or not, and then,
Gotcha.
and, you know, poll the board and then ask for a vote, and maybe somebody makes a motion.
Do you want to vote on every one of these?
Yeah.
Okay, so, based on 1.1, do we have a consensus that it has the application has met the requirement. Does anyone want to make a motion? We should vote on each of these. That we agree it has met the requirement or not.
I will motion that the applicant has met the requirement of Article 1, 1.1.
It's very confusing.
It is very confusing.
Article 1 purposes number 1.1 is where we're at. I'll second that, just for moving this along. Any further discussion on 1.1?
So this includes, yes, I have a question.
Okay.
So this includes the stormwater runoff, correct?